Halloween has always been a night of trick-or-treating, masks, and fun, but for some people, it became a date marked by unforgettable tragedies. Today, we dive into 10 of the most disturbing crimes that have ever happened on this dark date. From the mysterious murder of Peter Fabiano to the most recent and shocking stolen candy crime, a case so brutal and senseless that it will make you rethink the meaning of the word monstrous. Get ready. Each story is more disturbing than the last. The murder of Peter Fabiano. It was just an hour before Halloween of 1957 when Peter Fabiano heard a knock at his door. Thinking it was just a late trick-or-treat, he went to answer. However, instead of finding costumed children, Fabiano encountered a mysterious adult hiding behind face paint and a domino mask. The stranger carried a paper bag where they concealed a weapon. Betty, Peter's wife, heard the sound of a gunshot coming from their house entrance. When Peter was rushed to the hospital, it was too late to save him. Subsequent investigations revealed that the shooter was Joan Rebel, who had been recruited by Goldine Pitzer, a friend of Betty's. The motive for the crime, according to Pitzer, was that Peter was mistreating his wife. In love with Betty, Pitzer managed to convince Rebel to execute Peter. Due to the gravity of the crime, both women were sentenced to 5 years of life imprisonment. Pitzer was eventually released and lived until 1998, when she passed away. As for Rebel, she disappeared from public view, her fate remaining unknown. The laxative dentist on Halloween of 1959, while some dentists were distributing dental floss and toothbrushes to children, William Vincent Shine decided to take a darker path. He crossed all boundaries by distributing heart-shaped laxatives, as if they were candies to children who were trick-or-treating. The authorities eventually discovered 450 pills, with at least 16 of them having been given to children. Although some children got sick, fortunately no one died. In the days that followed, police tracked down Shine and a nurse named Hazel Engelby, who was suspected of being his accomplice. Although both claimed they had only distributed lollipops, the evidence pointed to another story. Engelby managed to escape, but Shine was found guilty. As punishment, he received a brief prison sentence and a fine of $525. The state dental board also put him on probation. In the following years, Shine's marriage collapsed when he was also tried for insurance fraud. The Lisa French case. On Halloween of 1973, Lisa French had plans to go trick-or-treating with her friend Ann Parker. Things changed when Parker ended up being grounded. French then decided to continue with her Halloween plans alone. During her trick-or-treating route, she arrived at Gerald Miles Turner's house. This would be her last stop. Lisa French would never be seen alive again. The investigation extended for 9 long months, with Turner as a suspect. Finally, he confessed to the crime. Justice sentenced him to more than 38 years in prison. In 1992, at the beginning of the year, Turner got early release for good behavior. However, in 2003, he violated his parole terms and was sent back to prison. The case didn't end there. In 2018, when Turner completed his original sentence, French's mother wouldn't accept the possibility of his release. She started an online petition aimed at keeping him incarcerated. The petition was effective. Turner was transferred to the Sand Ridge Secure Treatment Center, where he remains while courts deliberate on his fate. In the local community, the impact of this crime is still felt even 50 years after the events. As the document directly mentions, this kind of thing never happened in Fond du Lac. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. The man who killed Halloween. Ronald Clark O'Brien was desperate with a debt of $100,000. His plan to resolve the financial situation turned out to be one of the most atrocious crimes in Halloween history. In 1974, O'Brien took his 2 children, Timothy and Elizabeth, trick-or-treating. What no one knew was that, hidden under his raincoat, he carried pixie sticks adulterated with potassium cyanide. Not even his friends who accompanied him suspected what was hidden in his coat sleeve. To try to disguise his true intentions and deflect suspicion, O'Brien distributed the poisoned pixie sticks to 3 more people besides his children. Elizabeth and the other 3 people, by luck or fate, didn't consume the candies. Timothy, however, ate the poisoned candy, which cost him his life. The investigation was quick and precise. The police conducted a detailed autopsy and thoroughly investigated O'Brien's finances. The connection between the death and financial problems soon became clear. In June of the following year, the case went to jury. The decision was surprisingly quick. In less than an hour, O'Brien was found guilty. The jury needed little more than 60 additional minutes to determine his sentence: death penalty. The case gained notoriety, and O'Brien became known by two dark nicknames: Candyman and the Man Who Killed Halloween. His plan to use his children's life insurance to solve his financial problems ended up exposing one of the most shocking cases in Halloween history. The Toolbox Killers. For 5 agonizing months in 1979, Lawrence Baker and Roy Norris terrorized teenagers in the area. The duo became known as the Toolbox Killers due to the torture instruments they used in their crimes. Their reign of terror came to an end on October 31st of that year. That Halloween night, Lynette Ledford was getting a ride home after a party when Baker and Norris found her. Ledford apparently knew Baker, who regularly frequented the restaurant where she worked. Tragically, she didn't survive that night, becoming the duo's last known victim. 20 days after the crime, justice began to catch up with them. Baker was arrested for another crime, while Norris was detained for violating his parole. It was only a matter of time until they were connected to the Ledford case and 4 other deaths. As recorded in a case statement, no girl who entered the van survived. Both ended up dying in prison. The Halloween Mystery. On Halloween of 1981, Ronald Sisman and his girlfriend Elizabeth Platzman were conducting a photo session when strangers wearing masks knocked on their door. Initially, they ignored the knocks, but eventually answered. Shortly after, the couple was found dead in their apartments. The investigation revealed that their driver's licenses and Sisman's .25 caliber pistol had disappeared. While some investigators suspected the crime was drug-related, an even more bizarre theory emerged. This alternative theory connected the murders to David Berkowitz, also known as Son of Sam, who was imprisoned at the time. According to an informant, Berkowitz had revealed that his cult was planning to commit a ritual Halloween murder in an apartment similar to Sisman's. Additionally, Sisman supposedly possessed a compromising video related to Son of Sam. However, no such video was ever found, and the true perpetrators of the murders were never identified. The case remains one of the most mysterious Halloween crimes in history. The Sister Benz case. In the early hours of Halloween, 1981, Sister Tadea Benz, 76 years old, was found dead in her convent room. Several days after the crime, police arrested Johnny Frank Garrett, a teenager who lived near the convent. Garrett was convicted of assaulting and murdering Benz, and his execution was scheduled for January 6, 1992. The case gained notoriety when Pope John Paul II himself interceded on Garrett's behalf, resulting in an execution delay that lasted only 1 month. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Dorothy Lewis argued in Garrett's defense, stating that he lived with multiple personality disorder and had suffered childhood trauma. Despite this, the execution proceeded. Garrett's last words were a subject of debate, but many believe he thanked his family for taking care of him before telling the rest of the world to kiss his behind. Until his final moments, he maintained his declaration of innocence, saying, "Now, son, I'd like to tell you for the last time that I am innocent." The Egg Tragedy. In 1998, Carl Jackson was accompanying his girlfriend and her son to a Halloween party. During the journey, their car was hit by eggs. Jackson decided to stop and confront the teenagers responsible for the act. After the initial discussion, Jackson returned to the passenger seat of his car. It was at this moment that one of the teenagers unexpectedly pulled out a gun and shot him dead. Curtis Sterling, the young man responsible for the shots, was sentenced to 20 years in prison for this senseless crime. The case gained an even more moving dimension due to an action by Jackson's mother. She would annually send Sterling a Halloween card saying, "I'm glad you're still there." The case demonstrated how a simple Halloween prank, throwing eggs, can escalate into a deadly tragedy. As mentioned in the document, some eggs break louder than others. According to the New York Times, between 1984 and 2010, at least 24 people were injured or killed due to Halloween incitements. The Griffin Family Massacre, 1998. Devin Griffin lived one of the most shocking moments of his life when he returned home that Halloween. Initially, he thought he was being targeted by an elaborate Halloween prank when he found his mother, stepfather, and brother murdered. Upon realizing this wasn't a joke, Griffin immediately alerted his aunt, who called the authorities. The police didn't take long to arrest the culprit, William B.J. Lacey, Griffin's older half-brother. Lacey was found hiding in a family cabin. After a phone conversation with his biological mother, he confessed to the crimes, attributing his actions to mental illness and Satan's influence. Due to the gravity of the crimes, Lacey received 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. However, he served only 4 years of his sentence, as he took his own life in 2015. As for Devin Griffin, he managed to move forward with his life, graduating and marrying his high school girlfriend, starting a new family. Even so, the trauma remained. As he himself expressed, "I missed all the cool things my brother used to do, but when it came to when I turned 23, it hit me really hard too. It's like now I'm officially older than he ever was." The stolen candy crime. In 2011, an apparently trivial case of stolen candy ended in tragedy. Little, 55 years old, noticed that his Halloween candy was mysteriously disappearing. Suspicions quickly fell on his sexual partner, Maria Adams, as the candy would usually disappear when she spent the night at his house. Although Adams denied stealing the candy, the situation became complicated when people found the missing candy in her pocket. What started as a discussion about stolen candy quickly escalated into a violent confrontation involving thrown plates and meat knives. During the fight, Adams ended up being stabbed to death. Initially, Liddell considered abandoning Adams's body outside, but realized that since they had recently engaged in sexual relations, the police could trace the crime back to him. So he decided to get dressed and call emergency number 911, which led to his arrest. Liddell was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, demonstrating how a dispute over Halloween candy can have fatal consequences. Which of these Halloween crimes impacted you the most? Leave it in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and check out our other videos. See you next time.